Okay, good morning, everybody. Um, Welcome to kitchen design class, and my name is John. And I think most of you I had signed up at the show, and hopefully you enjoyed the show and my talks and things like that. So this morning we're going to spend a couple hours going over basically everything that can go into a kitchen, and we'll have discussions on that. And you should see on your screen that you're able to type in questions. Um, so feel free to type in, and what I'll either do is after a break or at the end of class, I'll answer the questions. Or you can also email me personally, and I'd be happy to answer the question there. Okay, so let's get started. Let me give you just a brief history. Excuse me. Is that I've been doing this now, oh geez, probably going on over 30 years. And I do it because I have fun. I enjoy teaching. That's why I was down at the show. I get over the years everything from do-it-yourselfers for people that don't know where to get started, um, to people that want to get into the business and learn. And it's a good opportunity. So um, let's jump right in. Now, the first thing is, and the class is free, everything's free. And one of the things that I have done over the last 2 years is as soon as the pandemic hit and people were really down and things like that, I went and started every other Saturday doing a webinar. And I did it for a year. And this is priceless, I got to tell you, what's in front of you there. So if you guys are doing a kitchen, for only $100, you get access to a subscription, you get my book, you get all of the webinars that I taught, like an hour webinar on picking the right cabinetry, appliances, lighting, how to lay out a kitchen, countertops, flooring, plumbing fixtures, just on and on and on, bathroom stuff, home office stuff. And so you get all that for the 100. This is not a sales pitch, it's more of an educational tool. So if anybody's interested, just let me know. You can just email me. Okay. Okay, advantages of a new kitchen. Better design. New look. Investment. It's one of the biggest investments in the house. It's also one of the nicest investments in the house. You get a great return. And people today that are doing their kitchens and things like that, and in the past, you're doing it for yourselves. A lot of people say, John, I'm only going to do this once, let's just do it the way I want it. Let's do it right. Okay. I'm going to tell you about 3 or 4 slides as far as slides that are my favorite, but this is truly one of my favorites. What to expect. I don't know if anybody out there has ever remodeled. It could be a bathroom, could be a kitchen, could be anything. But the home attitude curve. This is what to expect in a project. And I'll go through it. I'll give my 2 cents worth as we go through. This would be a project typical of mine. You go out and you make a sales presentation. And the best thing when you start looking out there is referrals naturally. Referrals or friends that have had work done, or your kids or your parents or vice versa, things like that. And go out and talk to, I would say probably most of my clients don't even shop because I've been doing this so long, and referrals and that. But let's say you're not, you could talk to anywhere from 2 to 3 people. And the problem today is anybody even going to return the phone calls? That's the unfortunate thing that we're dealing with in this world, everything from contractors to designers and things like that. But you make your sales presentation, you find the person you want to work with, okay? And then you sign the contract, you get excited, hey, the kitchen's finally happening after all these years. And then you see that little dip, that's when you guys are handing me the check and I'm driving away. And then the construction begins and you're all excited. Then all of a sudden, construction begins, you're doing dishes out of your laundry room. And the cabinets go in about 2 weeks later, and you're really excited. Doing this right now in Hudson, where the cabinets are going in on Tuesday. So we've turned the corner. And then all of a sudden, after this week, that client's attitude is going to drop tremendously. And the reason that's going to happen is because you can't put countertops in until you template them. You can't template them until the cabinets are in. So once the cabinets are in, we're going to have templating done. And then it's basically going to be a sit and wait for a couple of weeks. And then the job gets complete after the countertops go in and the curve skyrockets, and that's how I survive in my business. So that's what to expect on that. A lot of people think, they always ask. I was at a coffee shop working this morning, and I tried to work. I know a lot of people in there, and somebody sat down with me and asked me, how long does the average kitchen take? And it's hard because you don't know the size, and you don't know when people are asking you that question. I would say the average kitchen, probably just a kitchen alone, is anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 6, 5 to 8. But 2 to 3 weeks of that is that big dip there, is that countertop dip. So that's where a lot of it will happen. Okay, let's start out today talking about cabinetry. Okay, now you can do one of two things when you go and do a kitchen. You can either reface, which a lot of people are not going that direction anymore. You can either reface or you can get new cabinetry. So refacing basically is you keep the same construction, the same layout, same everything. You're just changing the doors, maybe putting in new appliances and a countertop and things like that. But the advantage of refacing is price, naturally. The price is lower. Easy maintenance, because the doors you're going to be replacing are either going to be a vinyl wrap or they're going to be a laminate. Great selection of materials. Laminates today come into a lot of different finishes and colors, things like that. New cabinetry, like I had talked about earlier, is an investment. Much more flexibility. When I go in now, I basically see 4 empty walls. We can do whatever we want. That doesn't mean I'm going to go put the sink against a wall, an interior wall, and lose that beautiful view out back. But we can pretty much do anything we want. New design, both functionally and aesthetically. You start going through and looking at magazines and looking through Houzz and things like that. You get a lot of great fun ideas. And like I said, you're not limited into what we do. Okay, next 10 minutes, we're going to get technical. In my webinar on cabinets, we really get into depth on this stuff. But this is the stuff that this next 10 minutes, you're going to want to understand, because that's going to set the tone for the direction you want to go as far as style of kitchens and things like that. Okay, so when you do the construction of a cabinet, okay, you have 2 different types of construction. You have framed and you have frameless. So when we look at frame cabinetry, you can see it right there, and I'll jump to the frameless. Okay, so here's the difference. The difference is the frame has a frame. It's that simple. And you notice that frame cabinet has hinges on it. And what's interesting is that I've gone the last, 10 years, and not one person in 10 years wanted to put an exposed hinge on a cabinet. And lo and behold, over the last 6 months, I've had 2 clients. One is in Aurora, a Century Home, wanted to be in keeping with the authenticity of the architecture. And the other one I happened to sell it this week, and they wanted the island to look like Old World. So we did the hinges on those, but we had to have frame cabinetry to do that. And then frameless. We're going to talk about 4 styles of kitchens in a moment. And the 4 styles, if you remember from the show, and we talked with the 25 tips, you have modern or contemporary, you have transitional. If you like one of those 2 styles, you're going to be going frameless. If you want like that person I just sold wants an old world looking island and kitchen, then you're going to want to do frame. And frame would either be country or it would be traditional. Okay, now some of the advantages and disadvantages with a frame. Okay, shows the hinges. Chamfers, it's nice. What a chamfer is, so you take the edge of this cabinet, we can take an ice cream scooper and just scoop the outside edges, and it creates a nice furniture detail. If you folks, anybody out there has furniture in the kitchen, or I'm not in the kitchen, in the house, we can replicate some of those details in the kitchen with little champers and things like that. Beaded or flush inset, we'll talk about in a minute. Sturdier construction. So let's say we're doing a kitchen and we want to have a 6-foot cabinet. Okay, and you say, well, why would I ever put a 6-foot cabinet in my kitchen? Well, no, not necessarily, but what about in the bathroom? You might want to do that in the bathroom or something. So you can go and put one cabinet in, save a little bit of money, save some seaming, things like that, and then you can go and have that one cabinet in there. You can do that with a frame cabinet. Frameless cabinetry, no frame. Hinges are attached to the box itself. No exposed edges, hinges. Size limitations. The biggest frameless cabinet you're probably going to get is going to be anywhere between, I would say, 42 to 48 inches with frameless. Otherwise, you'd run into situations with shelf sagging and the box not squaring up and things like that. Okay, so here's something. One of the things that I do with clients a lot of times, if I don't have it here, a lot of times I will get a door sample, a full door sample, not just for color, but that you can have and see and things like that. Okay, and what that is now is I'm taking that door sample, turning it on the side. That top, instead of full overlay, that should say frameless, but the slash lines mean it's the door. These are the different types of construction of doors, how they apply to the box. So when you have a frameless in the top, there's no frame, so it's all the slash lines, all the door. When you have standard overlay, I've seen a lot of this in the older kitchens and things like that, you know, when they were redone in the 70s and the 80s. Basically, you had the door sit right on top of the frame. And a lot of you might have that at home right now. And then we have 3/8 inset, where you cut the door and route it out, and it doesn't look so big on the frame. You're probably not going to see much of that. That was very popular when I started in the industry in the early 80s, but you're probably going to have trouble finding that today. And then a very popular one, if you go more traditional in styling, is the inset, where the door actually insets into the frame. Okay, so here let's look at what I've just talked about. Here's beaded inset. So if you notice, there's the bead around the door. So what we're looking at is here, this would either be, well, it has a frame, so we know it's either country or it's traditional. There's the beading. One of the things that's interesting too that you can do, especially if you go with a natural wood, you can glaze it. That's like putting shoe polish on and wiping it right off. But you notice it highlights that whole door and that whole area, those V grooves and everything. But you can see that's the beading, what the beading does. There's flush inset without the bead. That's more popular today. People want more of that simplistic type of feel and simplistic look. There's the standard overlay, where the door's resting right on the frame. That's the 3/8 inset. Again, not very popular today. That's called a knife hinge, by the way, too. Those are knife hinges. That's called a barrel hinge. But like I said, most of you aren't going to be doing hinges. Okay, so you keep seeing this thing full overlay, you know, and say, John, can you please explain that? Full overlay, I don't really sell it. I offer it, but I don't sell it, because full overlay basically is a cabinet manufacturer that's trying to get that frameless look, and all of their cabinets in their factory is set up to have frame cabinets. So they cover the frame with the door. The reason I'm not excited about it is because of the hinging, the way the hinging works, you need a gap between all the doors for clearance. So you won't get as tight at joints as you would with frameless. And there's no reason, if you're offered frameless, not to do that. Okay, there's frameless again. Can't tell because there's no frame. The difference, you know, as you're looking at just the door. Panel options. So as we go through, we have flat panel. That would be more modern. We have recessed panel in the middle, and then we have raised panel. Of the three, take away the modern kitchen. Let's just throw in somebody doing a transitional or traditional kitchen. The recessed panel is the most popular. Used to be the raised. Now, one of the things I do a lot of is I may do the recessed panel around the kitchen, and then if I have a furniture piece or a bar or an island, we could go and do the raised panel there. Okay, let's jump to the styles of kitchens now. Again, I have a whole hour webinar on how to pick the right cabinet. Okay, here are the styles I talked about, and we'll go through these in detail. Country, traditional, modern, and transitional. 80% of you go transitional. Country, warm feeling, woods with deep grains, oak, pine, ash, hickory, and alder. I love alder. Stained or painted finishes. You can either stain or paint the finish. Wear through on painted finishes. Accessories include knickknacks, natural stones, glass, doors, plants. Okay, now you look at that. That is a beautiful country kitchen. And the things what that client said to me would be, you know what, can I give you one word to start with? And I said, sure. And she said, whimsical. And if you look, there's a lot of little whimsical. The other thing too, look at that kitchen. I think it really gives a feeling of warmth. The whole kitchen was that wormy chestnut. And when I decided, when we redid that kitchen, I did not want to wrap, you know, that beam. You know, we could go and wrap it with drywall and, you know, and then take away the look of it. Now, all of a sudden, we enhance it and look at the entrance doors. You know, so I kept some of that warmth. But you look at the painted cabinetry, you look at the cross mullions with the CD glass, the seafoam green island. It's just a lot of warmth. One of my favorite things is the chandelier she picked, and look at the table. So I'll shoot areas that you guys too. These are, I think almost all of these are my kitchens. So there might be a studio shot here and there. This was a kitchen down in Lodi. And one thing to look, if you look at that, the bottom of the island, you know, where it's by that refrigerator to the left, notice the brush strokes on the paint. Okay, so they wanted to have a real warm feel, and not only that, but that's like a brush stroke glaze on the paint, which is pretty. It's dated, not as popular today, but it makes for a beautiful kitchen. Schrin Falls. Young lady comes to me. My favorite part of that whole kitchen, all these kitchens, and I always find the most funny things that I love. I love the popcorn popper that they got the kids for Christmas, how that pops in there, no pun intended, but that color's vibrant. But she comes up to me, the lady, young lady, and she says, can I have a turquoise island? And I said, okay, yeah. They went with that, again, brushstroke glaze on the perimeter in an off-white, and then they went and did the glazing with the turquoise on the island, and it's beautiful. But you notice all these kitchens, you get a warm feel with them. Down in Hudson, again, all warm. Okay, let's go to traditional. Touch of class. Take country woods and change to either cherry or maple. Stained or painted finishes. Beware that cherry will darken one whole shade, so select it on the lighter side. Another kitchen in Hudson. And if you look closely, you can see the inset doors. Mentor. Beautiful cherry with the glaze. Same kitchen in Hudson, different view. Modern means style of the day, woods, laminates, lacquers. Very clean, very linear. High gloss or matte finishes. There's that full overlay or frameless. No soffit. Soffit's that box that you guys have above the cabinetry. You know, people are getting rid of that today. Even in alt styles, you know, they want to get rid of that. And there's usually not a reason why it can't be replaced. Here is a Sullivan kitchen. Strongsville. Notice how now all the doors and drawers are all touching each other. The Heights. One of the things too, when you look at my kitchens, they're a little different, okay, in the modern feel. I was weaned off of the Germans and the European philosophy, and it's more minimalistic in design. And you notice there's not a lot of colors, like there's no paint, vibrant paint, wallpaper. The countertops don't have all the movement, you know, they're very understated. Elegance through simplicity, you know, as you see this. Transitional. Okay, here's what most of you would like. The blending of yesteryear and today, teeter-totter theory. Talk about that in a moment. Common to have a traditional door on a frameless box. Accessorizing plays a major role in transitional. Okay, so one of the things that I do when I start working with people is that, you know, if they want to go the transitional direction, you know, I explain what, you know, we all know what a teeter-totter is, we grew up with it. But when you go and do a transitional kitchen, it can weight itself more modern or more traditional. How do you want it to go? Okay, so here's a kitchen that I did about 2 years ago, European kitchen, but they went with a white shaker style door. Now look at the different elements in there. Like look at the hardware, it's more modern. Look at the hood I designed, much more clean, sleek. Even though it's in a traditional home, it's weighting itself down very subtly, but more modern. Here's a kitchen I did years ago out in Chardon. And again, look at the family room, how you have the white cabinetry with the traditional crown molds and columns and things like that. But we wanted to go with more of a cutting edge in the kitchen. The island is more of a mahogany cherry and just more very European cut with the door style and things like that. So it blended in beautifully there. Brecksville. We look and we have, again, transitional. And this one I went teeter-tottered more into the traditional end of things. Look at the hood, the stain color, the door style, you know, things like that. Here's the kitchen. Everybody comes to me and says, can I own that? And this gives you the best example of picture-wise of what transitional truly is. So you can see it's a very traditional shaker style door, but there's no frame. So look between the drawers and the cabinet doors, there's no framework. So it's very clean, very, very sleek. Now this lends itself, even though this is here in the Chagrin Valley, it lends itself a little more modern in that you get the hood, you get the hardware, that twisted hardware. You notice the cooktop and the wall oven are separate, very European in philosophy there. There's another view of it. Look at the light, the chandelier over the table. Okay, So as you get started too, you're going to want to have to decide, what you put in the cabinets. There's just so many nice things today that we can do to utilize the space. Like even if you have a blind base cabinet, they have the base turnouts, Lazy Susans, vegetable bins, place for cookie sheets. When I'm working with somebody, we go through a whole PowerPoint and we just spend, a lot of time going through every little detail thing that can happen here. Flip up and retract doors. They can be used for command centers, not as much for bars. People don't like the tambour on the appliance garages. That's not very popular today. They want either, something more of a flip and retract, or just having the appliances exposed on the countertop. Roll out shelves. Another version of it. File drawers. You can put a file drawer in the kitchen. Chopping blocks. One of the things about chopping blocks is that people aren't putting them in the cabinetry anymore as much as it comes as an accessory to the sink. Rollouts in pantries. Pull-out pantry. That could be a pull-out base. That could be a pull-out wall. It's a nice unit. Chef's pantries. You have to be careful with all this stuff though, because number one, you're going to spend a lot of money. Number two, you're gaining accessibility, but you're losing a lot of storage space in doing that. Most people just like to have the, just the roll-out shelves or can storage on the doors. Cutlery dividers. You can see there's a lot of fun things we can do to make the kitchen very functional. If anybody has that KitchenAid mixer, pull out spice bases. And knife drawers. I personally like a knife block. I do a lot of cooking, and instead of opening a drawer for the knives, I like to have it right there in front of me. But some people, they'll say, we don't want anything on our countertop, or they may say, what, we want to have it up there to have easy access. Tilt downs. Just on and on. There's a really popular one that goes into probably 80 to 90% of the kitchens at least. Putting the plates in a base cabinet. Okay, cabinet layouts. Where do I start? Okay, so this is starting the process of when you start. I don't know how far along you folks are, but one of the things you can do is to get started is get magazines. A lot of people aren't getting magazines because there's other options that you don't have to invest in magazines, and I'll explain that. Attend the shows. You may have gone down and heard me talk at the show. House, that's a huge one. House is a place where you can go and gather all the pictures. It's all free. You can start your own file system, become a member, and then you can show designers like myself when you get started and say, hey, these are some of my ideas, and can you go ahead and make them work? So House is a really good one. Garden Web is a good forum. It's actually part of House today, but you can go in and ask questions of your peers. Hey, did you guys, who out there invested in a steam oven, and do you like it? And you'll get a lot of answers. Talk to friends, like I said in the beginning. Call me with any questions. I'd be happy to answer them for you. Okay, stock versus custom. Where do you turn? What do you look for in cabinetry? What do you want to invest? There's two ways that cabinets come. They come stock, where they're basically, you're very limited. They're on a shelf in a warehouse, and when you place the order, they go and pull it, and you have them come, and you're limited in door style, you're limited in finishes, woods. no flexibility, so you can't customize. But some of the advantages are better pricing, shorter lead times. Custom, several doors, several woods, basically it's on a wood pile. Beautiful finishes, and you can customize the finishes, like that turquoise island. Complete flexibility to cabinetry. Pricing would naturally be more, and you would have longer lead times. And there's also a third one in there. It's called semi-custom, where you can have a factory that does mainly cabinets in certain the 3-inch increments. That's known to the industry. But they also have a spot in the shop in the factory where maybe you want a custom hood, you know, so they could do that, you know, do a custom hood for you, and you know, and pay the custom price just on that hood. You know, so that's something out there, semi-custom cabinetry. I happen to offer all three. I do a lot more of the semi-custom and custom than I would the stock. Stock, a good thing for the stock cabinetry would be to have it for a laundry room or kids' bathroom, or, you know, something like that. Something to expect from a kitchen designer as you go forward. This is what's referred to as a floor plan. They'll all do a floor plan for you. This is after the interview process and everything. Even do an electrical plan, elevations. This is what you should expect from a kitchen designer. This will really help guide you. This is something that's interesting. This is an option that for my clients, that you can do. Remember I talked about that transitional kitchen with that hood and everything? Well, here's what's referred to as a rendering. And if you notice, you may be looking, I don't know how it's come across on your screen at home, but that looks like a photograph. It's not like some of these very generic type of programs. This program will actually allow you to almost look like a photograph, so you can envision what your kitchen's going to look like. I think it's very resourceful. There's that Strongsville one, a rendering of that. So she saw her kitchen done well before they even ordered it. Okay, enough for cabinetry. Any questions on cabinets before I jump into the appliances? Okay, let's go. So here's a study that is done. Let's say somebody's cooking Thanksgiving. So the three major parts of a kitchen are the sink, the cooking, and the refrigeration. The thicker the line, the more times a person cooking that meal went and you know, moved between those areas. So naturally, your big areas are going to be the sink to the mixing area, the sink to the cooking area. Look at the oven, how thin that is. Like a lot of times I'll put the oven off to the side, and people say, why is the oven off to the side? And well, how often do you get into the oven? You know, the only thing I would do different on this slide here, if I were throwing my 2 cents into it, I would put the refrigerator a little closer to the table, because a lot of times you want, from where you're eating and things like that, to have, you know, easy access to the refrigerator. Okay, the triangle method. This is a good checks and balances as you're designing the kitchen. You should have anywhere from 14 to 24 feet between those three major areas. If you have less, that means you don't have enough counter space. If you have more, then you have an ample amount. I happen to do a lot of Jewish kosher kitchens, and a lot of times, so we automatically have mini triangles with the meats and the dairies. So that helps break that up. The other thing too is, let's say if you have very limited counter space, I've done a lot of either putting the sink in the corner, utilizing a corner, or the cooking, things like that. So there's ways around this, but the general rule of thumb, you should be between 14 and 24 feet. Okay, refrigeration. One thing I will say, if anybody out there is looking to do their kitchen this year, you should be at the point that you've ordered your appliances. Appliances could take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to get. So you may really want to be diligent on that. What do you look for when you start looking for refrigerators? Okay, first of all, do you want to determine, do you want an up and down, or a side by side, or go into that French door, which is basically a combination of both? Are you getting a new unit or keeping the existing unit? If you're keeping the existing unit, are the doors reversible? Okay, naturally the doors should open into the work area. There's what I said, location should be near the eating area and yet close to the sink and the cooking. Counter space on one side, at least 15 inches. Now, if you have an island right behind, you can utilize that, and that would work just as well. Okay, so here are the different types of units. Freestanding, counter depth, built-in, fully integrated built-in, under counter. You can even get to drawers and things like that. Here's a freestanding. Freestanding, not as popular today, but freestanding is going to be about 33 to 36 inches deep. As you can see there, it sticks out. About 70 inches high. And what's pretty much replaced that? The counter depth. Same unit, but now you're only talking 24 inches deep, so it's more clean, flush, built in. Both units will go anywhere between, I would say $2,500, $3,500. Then you can go into the built-ins. Now, the thing about appliances, they're made to last today, except for your upper end appliances, they're made to last at the most about 10 years. And so you get about 10 years out of them, then you're replacing them. Or you can get into the built-ins like the Sub-Zeros and the Milas and things like that. You're going to get 25 to 35 years out of them. But you're going to pay anywhere from 10 to 15 grand to do that. And you get much more of a clean, sleek, built-in look. I'm not going to dwell on appliances today. Again, that webinar really goes into that. But you can, all different things you can do with built-ins. Then you can start adding the term integration. When those drawers shut, you don't know whether those are pantries or drawers for pots and pans, things like that. So you can go and have really a clean, sleek. I do those a lot in European style kitchens where you don't want the appliances to be a big factor in it. You want additional refrigeration, we can do under counter. Those could be drawers. They could be freezer. They even have units out there that convert over either freezer or refrigerator, depending on your needs. Microwaves. Microwaves aren't popular with me right now, or haven't been, because there's something out there called the speed oven we'll talk about. But if you're going to stay with a microwave, you don't want to, when you do the kitchen, set it on the counter. You want to build it in somewhere. Okay. Again, what size does the designer need to work in? Door swing is important in the design. Again, for getting food in and out. You can buy it as one unit or as a unit with an oven. Location should be in the refrigerator area, also near the eating. Usually something coming out of a microwave, it's going to go into, come out of the refrigerator. That goes into the microwave. Here's something of the past. Get rid of a lot of these, but taking the microwave and having it over the stove. Here's a microwave with a trim kit. So if you're going to do a microwave and we're going to build it in, instead of just throwing it on the shelf, why not invest a couple $100 or $150 and buy a trim kit that goes around it, that makes that microwave like a built-in appliance. Microwave drawers. You know, a lot of people, one of their objections to a microwave is they don't like the look of it. So what we can do now is we can go put it in a drawer. Cooking, gas versus electric, downdraft versus updraft, commercial or pro style versus residential. Here's the big question, 1 oven or 2? How many burners on the cooktop? Location should be in the cooking area and also within range of the sink. You need to have plenty of counter on both sides, minimum of 12, ideally 24 or more. Here's my favorite cooktop on the market. And I talked about this down at the show. One of the advantages of this is, what I love is a continuous grate system. I love how it's all flush with the countertop, and I love the controls on the front. This is put out by Wolf. And the reason with the 5 burners generally is either a high BTU burner, that means something like high British thermal units, how much heat it puts out, you know, that could be for chili or corn on the cob or whatever. And then a simmering burner, which if you're a baker, you could be used for your chocolates and sauces and things like that. So this is really a nice cooktop. There's the pro style cooking. You want to get into the pro style cooking where you have more of a commercial application. This one happens to be 48 inches. Now, one of the things when you go pro style, it doesn't end at the range. You also have to be very careful and about your venting and how it goes out, things like that. A lot of the cities too today with the permits, if you're going with something this big, is to have a makeup air system put in because that vent is going to be blowing a lot of air out of the room. We need to make it up, and that's called the makeup air system. Slide in. Go to Old Faithful. A lot of us grew up with that. Same concept today, but all of a sudden we can do that, make it much cleaner, sleeker looking. So you can have everything in one. Some of the different things we can do also, teppanyaki hobs. And what that does, that actually bows that when it heats up and creates that, you know, that wok type style cooking, and it's hotter in the center and it gets cooler as it flares out. How do we vent? We have the option of downdrafting, where we vent down and out. That could be an application for an island, or we updraft. Okay, we'll come up to the updraft in a second, but let's go to induction here. This is interesting. When I said gas versus electric, very seldomly am I ever selling an electric cooktop today. It's either going to be gas or induction. And what is induction? Simply put, a piece of glass with magnetic field underneath. And when you put a pot on there that a magnet will stick to, the pan is actually going to generate the heat because the molecules moving within it with that magnetic field will cause it to, and it works almost as good as gas. So that's taken the place of the, you know, of the magnetic, the electric cooktop. Steam oven. The 2 toughest decisions you're going to make in this kitchen are going to be, should I invest in a steam oven, which is the healthiest way of cooking? And I probably say a good 60 to 80% of my kitchens today are doing a steam oven. And what you could do here, like you could do these roasted vegetables, season them, have a perforated tray there, and have the drippings come down on the salmon. And not only that, they're pre-programmed to tell you when to put the vegetables in, when to put the salmon in, so they all come out at the same time and nothing tasting like the other. Really, really a nice feature. I go to, you know, there's several places that I'd love to get the appliances. Probably my favorite is Ferguson's, and working with Aaron there. But I go there and I'll bring lunch in sometimes, and we cook in the steam oven chicken or fish or something, which is really nice. Oh, by the way, that's not just steam. That's called combi steam. So it's convection, which we'll talk about in a moment, but it's a combination of convection and steam. You know, nice for chickens and turkeys and baking bread, things like that. If you really cook, you really need to look at this unit. There's that thing I was talking about earlier in that transitional kitchen, you know, having the oven separate from the cooktop. It's very European. The only negative to it, it drops the oven a little bit. Or you can go to double oven and stack it. Speed oven. This is a winner. This is a unit where you can go, like last night. Friday night's always date night with my wife. Every night's date night. But so what we did, we got our appetizers around 6:30, and we're sitting down, and I said, you know, we were timing dinner, and I said to my wife, "Oh, did you throw the sweet potatoes in?" And she says, "Oh no, I forgot." So we had to get up and we had to do that because the sweet potatoes take about an hour if we wanted to eat around 7:30. But if I had this unit, when we got up to start setting the table and things like that, I could have put the sweet potatoes in, and 8 minutes later, they're done. Restaurant quality. That's the difference. And there are also pre-programmed recipes where you can do, you know, just so many different things that are programmed in there, casseroles, chicken, you know, things like that. And one of the things that when you do this, we're not breaking the bank. This would be, I'd probably put this into 90 to 95% of the kitchens. And, you know, people swear by it and love it. If you put the steam and the speed in, you don't need two ovens. I mean, these will take the place, and you'll hardly ever use your full-size oven. You'll need it because these aren't full size, but you'll hardly ever use it. Something really, and I would start YouTubing speed oven and steam oven if you're interested in these things. There's the convection I was talking about. Basically what it does, it blows the air around the cavity. Better cooking, you know, you don't ever equal cooking. Not only that is you get in and lower the temperature. It's really a nice feature, and it's pretty standard in all the units today. Both your steam and your speed have convection. Oh, by the way, that steam also, the speed also works as a microwave because one of the features is a microwave. So it's not like you're giving up the microwave. You have a microwave feature on it. Okay, venting. We showed you the downdraft back there, but we have the updraft, we have the downdraft inline. We'll talk about all these. Downdraft remote. Okay, so we're either going to vent up and out, or we're going to vent down and out. Very seldomly, like that job in Aurora, that Century home with the hinges, we ended up having to go ductless in there because it was on the inside of the house, and there were barriers with, you know, brick and things like that where we couldn't get a vent out. So we went ductless, where it filters through and then blows back into the room. But so these are the different ways. Now, when we do the venting, okay, you have some options. Let's say we're going to downdraft first. We could put the blower, the motor, inside the cabinet. The only negative to that, it takes up more of the cabinet space, and also what it does is that it's noisier. Or we could put the blower in the basement. That's what the inline is. You could see that on the left-hand side there. Or the other option is we could put the blower outside the house, and that's called a remote. Okay, so those are the different options when we vent. Dishwashers, if you can find one today. When you remodel, you may want to consider keeping your old dishwasher in place until the new one comes, because dishwashers are pretty hard to find right now. Okay, Keep near the sink, naturally. Option to raise so as not to bend over. Available in 18 to 24-inch wide models. Available in drawer units now. There's that word integrated again. We can cover with cabinet panels or stainless. Shop for stackability and quietness. I go shop with my clients. I go appliance shopping. Basically, they ask me to be their guardian angel, and we make sure we find the right fit for each of you. There's fully integrated, so when the door's shut, you don't know. And if that was a panel, a cabinet panel, you wouldn't know you had a dishwasher there. And they're so quiet today that a red laser points to the floor when they're running. The two popular brands that I like are Bosch and Miele for dishwashers. Could do the drawers, and they could be split. Those could be single drawers. We can raise the dishwasher if you have a bad back. You know, like the Krisiaks in Strongsville. You know, Terry, every time I see her at a show or something now, she thanks me for saving her back. Compactors, these are dinosaurs. Don't do many of them. I can't remember the last one I put in, but I still put them on here. Usually about 15 inches wide, normally kept by the sink, but okay to put in other areas. Smells can always be an issue. Again, we can go integrated with it. Okay. Just some different options. There's a compactor. Some miscellaneous appliances. Wine refrigerator, very popular. Ice maker. A steamer hob. Beverage centers. Grill. Grill not as popular in a kitchen today. Used to be. Okay, wine refrigeration. Very popular. Comes all different styles. I mean, you can get a tall, you get under counter, you get under counter 15-inch or 24-inch. You can get different zones for your whites and your reds. You know, a lot of different unique brands. Sub-Zero naturally being the best, but you have a lot of different options with the wine. And there's the tall. Ice maker. If you're going to do a lot of entertaining, and it's just not the entertaining, if you're, how do I say this, if you're a connoisseur of ice, let's say, you know, you really want that clear, crystal clear ice, you know, for drinks and things like that, then the ice maker is a nice option. It always, the other nice thing about it too, it's always melting and remaking fresh ice. But most people today just have it out of the refrigerator. They tend to be noisy too. Coffee machines. These used to be really popular. Actually, and I say I'm putting two in right now, but this is something where you have to drink a lot of coffee. The nice thing about it, you can pre-program them. You know, we're not talking today about smart appliances, but smart appliances are really, really in the mix today. So you could be upstairs and get out of bed and say, Alexa, make my coffee. And you go downstairs and your coffee's made for you. You know, so these units, and you know, what do you want to spend in your kitchen? That could what it comes down to too. But these are nice units. Miele being the leader in the industry again. Warming drawer. Warming drawers are very nice. So you could go over, you know, let's say you're entertaining and food's ready and the people aren't yet. You can put those in there, and you say to me, why can't I just do it in my oven? Well, the difference is that when you shut this, it seals and it locks in the humidity in the food, so the food will not dry out. So that's nice. And we can also integrate it like you're seeing here. And, you know, so when it's shut, it looks like a drawer. Okay, so let's say you don't have the room or you don't want to invest in a steam, you know, a steam oven. you can do a steamer hob. And a hob is HOB. It's basically meant to be a modular unit for a cooking thing. And what the Europeans can do with the hob systems or the module systems, you can put them and stack them side by side. So you could be doing you could do induction on one, halogen on another. You could do a deep fryer. You can do whatever you want by putting all these together. So this one here is for steaming, and you can do steaming vegetables, pastas, things like that in there. Once a steam oven came around, I very seldomly will sell one of these. There's the hob system. There's that halogen I was talking about. I don't even know if the halogen's out there anymore with induction. It might be. Okay, any questions on appliances? The places I like to go, okay, the two big places is, not saying the others are bad, but Ferguson's, they have a great showroom. And, you can really see and you get treated like royalty there. And then also, if you want more of a mom and pop boutique situation, I love Jim at Bloom Brothers on the east side here in Chesterland. And, so between those two places, you're going to be well taken care of. Countertops. Different types. I'll list them all, not that they're all popular, but tile, solid surface, stone, stainless steel, butcher block, quartz, granite, laminates. Okay. Now, of these, there's basically two on there that are the huge winners, granite and quartz. We'll cover them all though. Tile, pros, heat proof, wipes clean, individuals can be replaced, heat resistant, beautiful rich look, resist moisture. Cons, can be expensive. Anytime you get a tile man involved, you spend some money. Hard to keep grout lines clean. Surface isn't smooth enough to roll out doughs or cutting. There's an example of tile. Usually if you look at tile, it's going to be more involved in a Southwest kitchen. Solid surface, you would know, if you know the industry at all, the term Corian. Corian before granite got popular and quartz, solid surface was the countertop. Chips, dents, and scratches can be fixed easily. Excellent color choices. Integral sinks. Okay, that's a nice term for sinks because that and stainless, we can have it all molded in as one where you don't have any of the cleaning issues, things like that. Unique edge treatments. Do a lot of fun things with the edges. Potential to crack with heat, that's very limited. If it's installed properly, you would not have that issue. I hate that word expensive. What's expensive to me might not be to you and vice versa. Can tend to stain, but spots can be removed. There's a great looking solid surface. Stainless steel does not stain. Attractive contemporary look. Integral sink. Scratches easily. That's one thing about stainless. You have to be careful of it. It scratches easily. Martin, you asked the question, what do you recommend? I don't know what that's in reference to. If you want to just shoot that to me. There's an idea of stainless. One of the things that with the thickness of countertops today, if you go back and look at my pictures and things like that, is the dropped edge. This is a thicker countertop, used a lot on islands and things like that. But in the European version, like if you go back and look on my website, that Strongsville kitchen, you know, those things are only those countertops are only 3/4. So it depends on the style of the kitchen will determine, you know, the thickness. One of the things also is that if you want to have a beautiful flowing kitchen, you don't necessarily need to have different materials between an island and the countertop of the perimeter. All we have to do is use the same material, but we could go with more of a thicker edge in the island, you know, things like that. Okay, so Martin asked about the appliances, convection versus air fryer. Basically, they're air fryer, they're pretty much one and the same. What convection, they both work off of hot air. The air fryer, I think, and I may be wrong, the air fryer might be at a higher temperature, but that would be something to ask the concept's the same. That'd be something to ask the appliance place. I don't know. I think there is. I think ovens today, some of the brands, and that might be what you're referring to, is that they might have an air fryer feature in the oven. And if it is, then it's basically just the convection. But again, it might be at a higher temperature, but that would be something to ask the appliance maker. Thanks for the question. Okay. Butcher block, really not done today. Very seldomly. Again, most people, if you're doing wood today, you're doing more of a live edge for an eating top or something like that. But butcher would be more in keeping with the decorative, like unique woods and things like that. Okay, butcher block doesn't dull the knife blades, can be sanded and resealed. Porous, unsanitary. You got to be careful with it. It can tend to water damage. Will show knife marks. And there is a unique wood top. I'd be nervous of that. I mean, you know, something like that decorative, all of a sudden you go, let's say you get some flowers for Easter and you put a ceramic base on there. And then you move it instead of lifting it. You know, I would always be nervous. Now, granted, you can fix it, but I don't want to put something I always have to be careful of. Okay, quartz, here's the big winner. What is quartz? Quartz is about 90% quartz crystals. I think it's the second hardest property known to man. And it's made like a cookie batter. And they mix resin material in with the quartz crystals, and they come up with some very unique patterns and things like that. And the nice thing about it is, you know, they've gotten to the point where it pretty much looks just like stone. So you don't have to worry. You get the look of marble without worrying about staining and having to seal it and things like that. The other things, it's consistent. You know, God bless my stone fabricator, Great Lakes, client of mine, and she was gravitating between quartz and stone. She ended up going quartzite, which is very similar to granite. But the color variation within the L shape on the sink run was a little different, and they're going to redo the one piece so that it gets more consistent. They couldn't see when it was being fabricated, but those are the things when you get a natural stone, you run into where you're going to have variations. And with quartz, you're not. It's going to be consistent. Heat resistant. You do not need to seal it. Can tend to be expensive. Will have seams. But again, if it's done properly, they'll be very effective. Not a cutting surface. There's a nice quartz countertop. Granite, Resistant to scratches, durable, heat resistant, resistant to chips, stain resistant, unique. That's a big difference. I mean, you can get some beautiful, go look through these fabric, the warehouses like Mont Granite or UGM. You'll see some really works of art. Expensive. Granite doesn't have to be expensive. Depends on what you pick. You know, granite comes in levels from A to Z, and naturally your A's and B's are going to be your least expensive. Your Z's are going to be very expensive. But the big advantage of the more expensive ones is more beautiful. They all tend to have that artistic look to them. Again, I have seams. Need to reseal. I need to change a slide. Now you need to reseal it probably every 2 years. Actually, no, you could stick. It was the 2, now they went to 15. So you really don't have to worry about it as much. Here's my all-time favorite countertop in 38 years. Nice granite countertop. And that one happens to be a leather finish on it, not polished, but like a satin finish, which is absolutely gorgeous. And you notice behind the pears there's that canister thing. That is for composting. And we'll talk about plumbing fixtures in a minute. Laminate, inexpensive, great color selections. You can apply wood edging to it. Easy upkeep. Impact resistant. Will scorch and scratch, just like the old days. Cannot repair it. Cannot clean it with abrasives. Look at that. I mean, you would swear, there's one dead giveaway. You would swear that that is granite or marble. And because even look at the edges, how they're rolled over and bull-nosed. The dead giveaway is that sink. See how it's self-rimming? Because with laminate, we can't go and do undermount sinks. Some of the different backsplashes, tile, stainless, glass, if you want more of a modern look. Iridescent tiles, little subways, or any tile, as a matter of fact. Okay, any questions on countertops? Hopefully you guys are finding this morning beneficial. Okay. Sinks. Different types of materials. Stainless, cast iron, fire clay, quartz, stone, corium, and then the style, single, double, triple. We'll talk about all these. Okay. Let's start with stainless. Okay, stainless is very popular. There's that undermounting I was talking about. This happens to be a double bowl. But one of the things about stainless is, again, you just have to be careful with the scratching. And what a lot of these manufacturers do today, they put grids where you can put on the bottom with a nice grid system. And with the grids, it actually raises up the sink that, you know, when you have your pots and pans in there, you know, not as much an issue. But one of the things with stainless is that you want to buy a good one with sound deadening and things like that, and the plumbing places will help you with that. But the other thing too is if you look at the these corners, look how sharp that corner is. It's a very modern look, really sharp. But when they first came out with that, there was no radius or anything to it. And it was hard to get in there to clean. Now all of a sudden they starting to more and more do called a micro radius, which helps with the cleaning and things like that. So you have three. You have the standard radiuses that you have at home right now. You can go into these very European cut, squared off, or you can go into the more of a like a micro type of radius in doing that. Cast iron, I don't sell it anymore unless somebody really wants it, because fire clay has taken its spot. But the thing about cast iron over the years has always been the scratching and just the general wear and tear over the years, where it's really nice now where we can get in there and with the fire clay where you don't have to worry about any of that. Nice looking, they come with beautiful colors. But that's something that Kohler has always been big and proud of. And I think I have not gone back, because now that I'm with fire clay, but they've now come back, I think, with more of a resistant finish on the cast irons. Oh, and that's a sink, by the way. It's a dropped, if you look at that drop center. So if you can't decide single bowl or double bowl, that gives you the best of both worlds. There's fire clay. And what fire clay does, gives you the look of the cast iron, but it's fired into that substrate at 2200 degrees. So it really, really gives you a hard finish that you're not going to have to worry about chipping or scratching and things like that. And it comes in a lot of nice colors. It's not going to come in fire engine red like cast iron and things, but it's going to give you a nice, it's going to give you a nice subtle look with your, grays or your whites or your beiges or your browns. Quartz. Blanco's my favorite sink, if I don't go stainless, and the BLANCO. There again is a dropped center. But now with Blanco, it's probably the best price sink on the market too. You get that quartz, it's in that quartz family, so indestructible. A lot of nice designer colors, come single bowls, double bowls, things like that. But you can see there, it gives you really, really a nice look. Not only that, with Blanco, they have designer color strainer baskets in that you can go and match the sink. Getting to know my client is a big priority, and how particular this and that. So, that stainless might not bother a lot of people. A lot of people also would say, hey, I would love to have that coordinating color. Corian, we talked about that with countertops. So a lot of the materials are going to be the same, but with the Corian, again, we can do the integral sink and a lot of nice singles, doubles, things like that. But now all of a sudden you don't have to worry about the cleaning. It gives you that nice flush type of feel to it. Bar sinks, all different styles. Vegetable sinks. Yeah, just a lot out there for us. All different shapes and sizes. Single bowl happens to be, I would say probably 60% of my clients go single bowls. And really nice. You can get large single bowls, maybe more, maybe 70%. But you can get that nice large bowl. And the other thing too you want to look for, there's a grid, by the way, I talked about. But one of the things you want to talk about with the plumbing person is that if you're going to go single, do they have the option of giving me on my sink, having the drain off to the side as opposed to being in the center? Some of them will. And the nice thing, if it's off to the side, if you have to use a disposer, you don't have your pots and pans, that you have to move around to get to it. Okay, here is a huge one. And again, what do you want to spend? But this is called the galley sink. And I'm putting 2 of these in right now. This is an investment, but it's not even a sink. That's the wrong word. It's a water station. Look what we can do now. We can have all these accessories and, there's your drain board, there's your built-in colander, there's cutting boards, there's condiment racks, there's on and on and on. The brand is Galley, but you will spend some money for this. And you'll also need the room because they tend to be on the bigger side. Not only that, but if you're not using that sink, they come with lids that you can use and cover, which is nice. There's self-rimming. I've used that term. It's usually people are going to do self-rimming maybe only in laundry rooms and things like that today. Undermount, that's the most popular. There's integral. Apron front, always popular, always has been.
you know. There's that portable cutting board, there's that compost thing. But with the apron front, it gives you really a nice look. It tends to trend up and down over the years. Right now, it's very popular. And we can do that in all the materials that we've talked about. There it is in double, stainless double. As far as plumbing, I like two places. Again, I like to have Ferguson's and then also Edelman. And three, Welker McKee also does a great job. And different type of faucets. One of the webinars before a whole hour, we talk about all the plumbing fixtures and finishes and things like that. Instant hot. Do you want to have an instant hot or a filtered, for filtered water? But there's an instant hot that'll give you that hot steaming water right at the touch of that switch. Dual instant hot, where it'll be filtered water and the hot. Lotion dispensers. Water filtration. There's one also that my client asked for, and it was in my talks. I think I took it out. Maybe it'll be coming up here. Let's see if I have it in here. No. But if anybody makes smoothie, my wife makes a smoothie every day, and they have a water cleaner that goes right on the deck. And it's like a glass cleaner, and it'll clean out the smoothie glasses and things like that, which is really nice. It's put out by Delta. Air Switch is very popular, where you have, especially in an island with a sink, you can go and just a touch of an air activated button. You can go and have that all taken care of, where you turn your disposer on and off. Any questions on the plumbing? Okay, we're going to end today with flooring. Different materials for a floor. Stone, hardwood, engineered wood, tile, laminate, vinyl. Stone. I have to tell you, I don't put much stone in at all anymore because of porcelain tile. I mean, porcelain tile is a tile today that looks just like stone, and you don't have to seal it. You don't have to worry about it. But let's talk about stone here for a second. Natural stone, beautiful, extremely durable. Hard stones are recommended, such as granite, slate, and limestone, due to the fact they will not absorb dust and dirt as easily as others. Limestone seems to be the people's choice with today's sealants. Even the poor stones can be effective. Again, I don't even know if I should keep the slide on here. Price falls on the high side and lifespan is virtually unlimited. It's always more money to put in a natural material like a stone floor. Okay, there's a stone floor. But I couldn't tell you, if I didn't do that kitchen, I couldn't tell you if that wasn't porcelain, tile, or stone. Hardwood. Denser the wood, the more durable. Oak and maple are the common choices. That would be white oak today and maple. Hardwood's popular because it works with both contemporary and traditional. Wood is notorious for its warmth and resilience. Price point is medium and the lifespan is 100+ years with proper refinishing. There's a nice hardwood floor. The wider planks are very popular today. Engineered wood, and you shouldn't be scared with engineered wood. Basically what the difference is, solid wood is the wood solid all the way. Engineered wood is about of a 3/4, good engineered wood will be about a 1/4 inch will be solid wood, the rest will be a substrate. And the advantage is, let me see if I have a picture. Yeah, there we go. And the advantage of this is because people want wider planks today, and you get warpage issues if you kept solid wood at wider planks. And then the other thing too is I do a lot of work by lakes and things like that where there's moisture. And again, you'll get cupping with the solid wood. And with this, you know, and you can still sand it. I mean, for your lifetime in there, you don't have to worry about that. But made from a combination of solid wood and a subply layer option to get pre-finished. So we have the option to do that you don't have the issue of having to stain on site. The advantage of staining on site, by the way, though, is that we can customize the color. Like I just finished a job in Highland Heights, probably the prettiest floor I've put in years. We mixed the grays with the browns on the hardwood. It's beautiful. Engineered wood's ideal for more humid areas and the wider planks. Price point is medium high and lifespan is unlimited. Again, there's the picture. Like if you didn't see that slide at the bottom right, you wouldn't know that that was engineered. Tile, again, the porcelain tile is really nice. Highly sought after for its durability and low maintenance. It's been used for centuries. Nice feature of tile allows us to be creative in the design process. We can introduce decorative patterns if we want. Porcelain tiles tend to resemble natural stone at a fraction of the price. My two favorite tile stores, excuse me, are Thomas Brick on Chagrin and then Virginia Tile on Richmond. Price point is medium and the lifetime is virtually unlimited. Again, look, and it's a beautiful porcelain tile. Laminate, I don't do laminate anymore, but laminate is a hard surface consisting of fiberboard core and a melamine wear layer. Sandwiched between the top layers is a photographic image. And the reason I don't is because luxury vinyl tile is pretty much taken over, which we'll talk about. These surfaces are very durable but cannot be refinished. They are generally less than hardwood and engineered wood because they do not require significant subfloor prep. Okay, and there's the laminate floor. Gotta be careful with that because, you know, if you scratch it, you know, you got a problem. Okay, the last one is luxury vinyl tile. One of the hottest floors on the market today. Excellent for durability. Reflects authentic wood or tile look. Really does. Can be laid over existing tile floors in most cases. That's huge because, you know, to tear out a whole tile floor, you know, you could have the expense and all the mess. And the one nice thing about luxury vinyl tiles, you can go right over it. And there's a beautiful luxury vinyl tile floor. You can see it looks just like hardwood. Now, there's very, very, very few negatives to this. One of the only ones as a designer is that if you want a stone appearance with it, about 75 to 80% of the floors of luxury vinyl tile are going to be wood looking. They're not going to be the tile look. If you do go into the tile, they actually have them out there that you can grout them and things like that. You know, so that's really nice. You can see there. I love to use Marshall carpeting, Marshall One on Mayfield, in Mayfield, you know, on Route 91 for all that. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And again, take advantage if you want of that webinar, listening for 20 hours. If you enjoyed hearing me today and at the show, you know, just let me know, email me if you're interested in that. If you have any questions, feel free, you know, to contact me for resources or anything. I've listed all my favorite resources as we've gone through. And you guys enjoy the holiday and, you know, good luck. And I will look forward, if any of you are interested, to contacting me. Thank you. Bye-bye.